Well, welcome back everybody to another fantastic competition in this FEI North American Youth Championships. We've got a fantastic lineup for you of young riders and their horses coming forward. And as I say, it really is quite the star-studded lineup. This is the first competition for the young riders, and it's a speed class, so it's run over Table C rules, which means that it is a competition against the clock, and they will have 4 penalties added for every fence knocked down. So we don't go for faults and time, we just go for a time. That time will then be converted into a point score, and it's the cumulative point score for the teams that they carry forward then into tomorrow's team competition. So we have our first rider out on course now. This is Alexandra Pielet of Zone 5 for America. She's seeing a few longer strides here around the course so far, but she's certainly got a foot to the floor. She rides the horse Hyperbolics. And this has been quite a successful horse for her so far.
Very successful ride for her. In 2018, she was the winner at Junior NAYC on the team occasion, took that gold medal as well as the individual gold medal. So very successful here in the past, moving up to the young rider division. Kind of struggling a little bit with that rhythm, but still on the clear round at the moment. Also winner in the high amateurs at the Devon Horse Show this year. Also won the high amateur jumper classic during the American Gold Cup last season. Of course, that occasion returning in the fall here to Traverse City. Well, that was pretty amazing.
That was pretty incredible. I think I saw the horse's hind legs going in between the poles there before they cleared that. What a performance, what an honest horse. I actually thought as well, her turn inside the arena decoration going to the double at fence 11, that's the sort of silver birch type designed double combination. It was pretty tight. The horse was very honest to still take off and get there. So great performance from her. Sets things off in 65.95 seconds and no fences down. Luck was on her side today with that former ride of Andrew Bourne's. Kicks things off nicely for a 65.95 for Zone 5. On now to Canada. Their first rider out is Eric Krawitt, who rides Cactus de Cosnier. Canada well represented in this championships, and Eric was on the second place team for the juniors last year for Canada with this very same horse. He was also on the winning children's team for Canada. That was the competition in North Salem back in 2018, and he has jumped this horse right the way up to 5-star level successfully in 5-star classes in June. But great prospect for the Canadian team.
Eric, just a very strong young rider for Canada. Jumped in the National Grand Prix just last week. Saw him jump a clear round on that occasion. Quite a few clear rounds there, but took home a top prize nonetheless. Very successful out on the West Coast as well. And still at such a young age, so many accomplishments at this young age.
Yeah, just a 10-year-old, this horse by Paddock Duplessis. Couple of fences down, though, for Eric Krawitt. So his time was 67.34, but with the fences down, that gives him a total of 75.34. So he is about 10 marks behind Alexandra Pielet. But this is a competition that's important not only for the individual competition, but for the team competition as well. And we have riders representing a number of different zones. Of course, the American nation split into different zones for show jumping. It's regions for dressage. So we have zones 5, 9, 10, 4, 1 down and on our list. We have Canadian teams. We have competitors for Mexico in the field today as well. 34 horse and rider combinations coming forward. So the way that those teams are going to work in this competition, we have a combined team, won for zones 5 and 7, and Alexandra Pielet, our first rider, is on that team. She rides alongside Alexander Alston, Sophia Cady and Charlize Casas. Eric Krawitt, our second rider there, on the Canadian team alongside Lauren Esdale, Sarah Tyndale and Sam Walker. Sam, that pretty well-known top-level rider. He jumps right the way up to the 5-star level, competed at the 5-star Major League show jumping competition here in Traverse City just last week. This Turtle Creek Casino and Hotel International ring playing host to some fantastic sporting action.
And quite a strong finish for Sam on that occasion, one of only 4 clear rounds. Taking a top 4 placing in that 5-star Grand Prix. Very difficult first round track there, but impressive performance from that young rider.
Yeah, he's got some fantastic rides, and he was saying in the competition last week that he's really kept one of his very top horses for this competition. He's really aiming for the top spots in this FEI North American Youth Championships. Maggie Hill's next in then. She rides for Zone 9 with the Summit Farms owned Carreras HD. This is a 13-year-old gelding by Carico. This is a horse that was with Donald Whitaker in the past, and as also Nicola Poll, who rode the horse up to 4-star level.
Maggie, very impressive young rider in all 3 rings. Had a great junior hunter career. Some really well-known hunters across the Southeast, really top results in Wellington, across the Carolinas. Trained with Jack Towell out of Finally Farm, Liza Boyd. But really has stepped into the junior ranking, or the jumper rankings rather, and by storm. She competed a bit with Oakland Stables, that team, Derek Kenny and Hardin Towell. Just has been very successful in the jumper rankings. Has also started placing in national Grand Prix action, numerous placings in the high amateurs as well at the Winter Equestrian Festival. But originally from Wyoming, now studying at the University of Nebraska. Has truly been a staple across the United States. And putting in a really efficient round here. Perhaps not quite as fast as Alexandra.
It's a fine line, isn't it, between really going for the time and risking having the fences down, but then not going too slowly, but aiming to keep the fences up. 76.09 is the time for Maggie Hill. So despite the fact that she kept all the fences up, that has her just behind Eric Krawitt at this early stage, because he was so fast against the clock that the fences down, the 2 fences down in fact, have kept him ahead of Maggie Hill. Well, these fences are 1.45 meters in height. The length of the course is 520 meters, which gives us quite a fast, you know, the speed that you would perhaps expect, 375 meters per minute. 12 obstacles once again, much like in the junior competition, featuring 3 double combinations again. Our next rider in is Elena Haas, who rides Santana, an 11-year-old mare by Centerdale out of a contender mare. Elena rode in the 3-star Grand Prix here at Traverse City in July with the horse Global Jativia for a 24th place finish. She was also on the 6th place team here last year and individual 19th. That though was in the junior category, but that was with this very same horse. Also had 4 international top 10 placings with this horse and a good few clear rounds up to this height of fences, 145, 6 clear rounds internationally in fact.
Elena, a very strong West Coast-based rider. In fact, recently won back-to-back Grand Prix at the Sonoma Horse Park. That aboard at Global Jativia. But this horse, such a great ride for her as well. This one, like you said, her competitor for those North American Youth Championships last year, knows this horse a little bit better than her other top mount, and you can tell in the way that she's piecing together this really strong round.
Yeah, lovely round. Not quite as fast as the other competitors that we've already had, but I think that's a really promising round. 70.79, I think we'll see that be a really good standard to have set. It's just under 5 seconds slower than Alexandra Pielet, but that really was exceptionally fast. Elena Haas on the team for Zone 10. Zone 10 with the 4 riders coming forward. She rides alongside Kate Hovland, Alexa Leong and Zoe Brown. Shea Levitin is in next for Zone 4. Zone 4 have been very, very successful at this championships in previous runnings. Not quite getting off to the start that Shea might like. This is a horse with whom Shea has had 2 international clears so far this year. She also rode in the 2-star Grand Prix of Miami in April. A horse previously ridden by Manfred Scheid of Germany. Horse here is Vitus K, a 12-year-old gelding by Verdi.
Just a couple down for this pair so far. I believe this is a rider for Canada.
I think our graphics are giving us a little bit of different information here. The saddlecloth number tells us that in fact this is Riley Buitenhuis of Canada.
It's building upon success that pair has built up to over the summer. Several big wins for them. Just a couple rails down there. Gonna amount to some extra time there on the clock.
Yeah, just a little bit of a change around in the order. So the score then for Riley was 77.07 seconds with the fences down as well. So as you will see from the fact that this is a grey horse, this here is Shea Levitin that comes forward. Vitus K the ride. This is the 12-year-old by Verdi for Zone 4.
Sheer and Vitus K actually coming off a circuit championship in the high amateurs at the Winter Equestrian Festival this year. Quite an accomplishment there. That's a really challenging division there. Also quite a few very competitive horse and riders that compete at the Winter Equestrian Festival. So to come out on top after that 13-week series is quite an accomplishment. Also took 4th in a $50,000 National Grand Prix at the World Equestrian Center in July. So off to a great summer here, hoping to continue to build upon that success. 2-star wins at the Longines Global Champions Tour of Monaco in 2016 for this rider. So an international winner already. And this horse actually took 4th place in the National Grand Prix at the American Gold Cup in 2021. So that is going to be a very big week here in Traverse City, as is this one. Quite a bit of activity here. That horse just showing off a bit of flair through that course and at the very end.
Yeah, adding a few flourishes there that we didn't particularly ask for, but not really wasting too much time. 73.99 is the time for Shea Levitin. Time confirmed, or the score confirmed for Riley Buitenhuis is 77.07 with Livorno. Our next rider is for Zone 1. This is Leila Kurbanov, who rides the Salle Francais 12-year-old mare Atois de Prime by Conterno Grande out of a Diamant de Semi mare. Rides this for Andrew Bournes. And another talented rider who competed at the junior level at the North American Youth Championships last year. Also had a second place in an under 25 class in Wellington in March. Horse not only ridden by Leila and by Andrew Bournes, who I mentioned, but also by Sydney Schulman in the past.
Sydney Schulman has had an excellent outing here in Traverse City since she arrived, several big placings. And as for her student, this rider, Leila, has taken a win in 2-star action here in Traverse City. That just last week during Major League show jumping aboard her other mount. This is also a very successful horse for her. She's known this horse a little bit longer, so felt more confident bringing this horse into this week. But still very competitive up to the 2-star level. Took a 2-star win in speed action at Split Rock in 2022. Also second place in the U25 Welcome at the Winter Equestrian Festival this year. Very successful young rider.
Successful rider and quite a successful performance here. So it's 1 fence down, adding to the time of 66.79. So the total for Leila Kurbanov is 70.79 seconds with Atois de Prim for Zone 1. So we bring you the first riders for many of the teams first, then we bring you the second riders and so on, interspersed with the individuals. And we have an individual coming up next. This is Nicole Velasco Magana with Daddy's Destiny. She was 4th in the individual classification of the junior competition in 2021 with the horse FC Okala. This, though, is by Comme Il Faut. It's a 10-year-old mare, and she's jumping this horse up to 3-star level. She also jumped in the 2-star competitions in Miami back in April for 2 rounds clear out of 4 rounds jumped, so 50% clear rate there. Also had 2 2-star wins at Monterey in November of last year, and some good wins at that very same show in April of 2021 as well. This is a horse who has previously been in the Lanaken World Young Horse Breeding Championships as well, back in 2019 with Katrin Eckermann.
Mexico equestrian team just has so many up-and-coming stars. We've seen that recently, in that their championship teams are so young lately, so many young riders. And of course all the riders this week are young, but that doesn't detract from their skill. Just very accomplished team, and starting to really take some big wins for those international teams, which I think these riders aspire to one day.
Absolutely, it's fantastic for them to get the championship experience, especially to be able to compete across the week here with a number of different questions being asked of them as the week progresses. Nicole Velasco Magana then with Daddy's Destiny takes our second spot for now with a score of 69.25. Remember, though, those scores will be converted into points. So the way that is worked out is that the times are multiplied by 0.5. Then we identify the lowest score, and then the riders are given a differential score. So, for example, if there's a fastest rider, the difference between 0 and the next score is what their points will be. We head on now to Zone 5 to Alexander Alston. He's the second rider for Zone 5, and he rides Prestigious, who is a 15-year-old gelding by Consento. He is the rider who clinched the team silver medal for the juniors in last year's championships on the team for Zones 5 and 6 then. This horse, though, was also ridden to Team Gold in the Young Rider North American Youth Championships in 2018. That was with Madison Gertzman. Those championships being held at North Salem a few years ago.
Alex, truly a top young contender, not only in show jumping, but in equitation as well. Has taken top 5 placings in all the major equitation championships, and still has another year left to return to them. secure a victory.
Nicely done, just the one fence down for Alexander Alston. The time was 69.08. We add the 4 for the fence down, so that gives him 73.08. He goes into 5th place individually at the moment. But in terms of the team, that is the score that will be added to the team representing zones 5 and 7 alongside Alexandra Pielet, who of course is our current leader. Great performances already for that team. Lauren Esdale comes next. Lauren rides the horse Viamdios Davril. It's a 13-year-old, gelding by Diamant de Semi, owned by Pauline Esdale. It is one with whom Lauren was individual 4th and clinched the team bronze medal in the young rider category in 2021 with this very same horse, as I say. She's jumped 4 under 25 Grand Prix in Wellington and had a top 10 placing in one of those. They compete fairly successfully in the 2-star competitions as well.
They do also a national competition in Canada. I've recently won a Grand Prix with one of her other mounts. Also came in 3rd in a national Grand Prix with this mount. Very successful across Canada. Moving in between the medium and high junior jumpers with this horse. Lots of clear rounds, solid finishes, including last week here at the Great Lakes Equestrian Festival. These Canadian team members really putting in solid rounds so far, starting the day off strong, winning that gold medal in the children's division. Excellent effort put forth over the 2 days by those team members.
Goes into 10th place, Lauren Esdale, 78.03 the score, with the 1 fence down adding to the time of 74.03. Well, the next rider on our list, and with the number 3 on his saddlecloth, indicating that he is riding in for Zone 3, is John Angus with W Tonic's Hero. W Tonic's Hero is one of the older horses in our field. It's a 19-year-old horse by Organa Cite, owned by Stephanie Angus.
Not many horses still competing at this level at 19 years old. I think definitely a testament to all the people that have cared for this horse over the years that can still perform at such a high level at that age. Very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've had quite a lot of successes in the national competitions, climbing the ranks. Ooh. From jumper classes, hunter derbies, and as you've mentioned, the equitation as well. Quickly turning back now to this double. Nicely through there, the second time of asking. And he's really got a foot to the floor now with that in mind.
Knows that he has quite a bit of time to make up with that refusal. Again, no faults added there, but time on the clock. So if you do have a refusal, you do want to circle back as quick as you can and continue on swiftly.
Absolutely riding this like a jump off.
He really is. This is actually quite a ride he's giving. A couple rails falling in the process.
Great team performance. He knows that he's got to do as much as he can for the team.
Precisely. He may know that, you know, perhaps he's out of contention for an individual gold medal, but he does have to do right by his team and still perform as best he can.
Goes into about the bottom of our leaderboard individually at the moment. John Angus, 89.36 is his total score. But yes, riding for Zone 3. Zone 3 is represented on a team alongside Zones 8 and 9, so he's alongside Maggie Hill, Dominic Gibbs and Virginia Bonney on a team. This qualifying competition is, or this first round competition is important for both the teams and the individuals, of course. Hunter Champey up next for Zone 2. Hunter rides Escada, who is a 13-year-old mare out of a Darko mare, notably. And Hunter did the children's competitions in the North American Youth Championships in 2019, clinching the silver medal for the team. This horse is another former 5-star competitor with Nanna Backlund of Finland, riding at that level back in 2020. Hunter's in the top 300 in the Rolex USEF show jumping ranking list.
It's quite an accomplishment for such a young rider. Also has jumped to strong national results. Winner of the $25,000 Black Barn Jumper Prix, also 9th place finish in the $100,000 Hits Socrates Grand Prix. Took second in a U25 class at the Winter Equestrian Festival. Always one of the most competitive divisions there. So many excellent U25 show jumpers in this sport. It seems to be where they all congregate for that winter season.
Getting some good turns around here, but crucially the pace is good as well. Really keeping the rhythm up now to the last. Sees a bit of a long one, but 68.17 is a great time. That goes into second place individually, but also crucially it's going to be great for the team, for the Zone 2 team. Zone 2 with their 3 riders, so every score counts. They do not have a drop score, so remember, for each round of competition the teams with 4 riders have 1 drop score. They'll count the 3 best scores, but they can bring forward teams with 3 riders, as Zone 2 are doing. Strong team for them with only the 3 riders though. Kate Hovland is in next with Cruz, a 13-year-old horse with whom Kate was on the 6th place team in last year's junior competition, now makes the step up to young riders. And again, a talented horse who's been ridden up to 4-star level in previous parts of his career.
Yeah, very successful with horse and rider. Horse ridden to wins with West Coast professional Joey Gatlin. Also big wins for Kate, with Kate in the irons. Competed as an individual at the 2021 USEF Junior Jumper National Championships at the Harrisburg Horse Show. So qualified for and competed in USCI American Eventing Championships, those being held at Tryon International Equestrian Center. So a very versatile rider.
Yeah, amazing to be competing in both jumping and eventing to a really high level. Seen quite a few people go inside the decorative element in the arena to that silver birch style double at 11, but doesn't quite get the shot to the first element, so the pole falling there at 11A gives a total for Kate Hovland of 77.5, adding just the 4. Well, from Zone 10 we then go back to Zone 4 for our next competitor. The Zone 4 next representative following Sheer Levitin is Zayna Rizvi, who rides Excellent, and quite an aptly named horse. This horse really has been quite excellent for her. She's the reigning junior individual champion from 2021, did not drop a single rail all week with this horse. Very impressively as well, Zayna is 78th in the FEI Jumping Under 25 World Rankings, and she's also competed this horse in the Nations Cup Youth Finals. Horse is 13 years old, and it's a ride that Zayna has had since 2021, with a couple of international wins at 2-star level under their belts as well, one in Traverse City and one in Wellington as well.
Yeah, very decorated pair. This horse with Zayna in the irons has won 3 team gold medals and 1 individual gold medal, who was also the Show Jumping Hall of Fame Horse of the Year last year, so very accomplished, and Zayna just an incredible young rider. So many big victories to her name, the equitation and jumper rings, and really laying it down here. Unfortunately, the first of that 11AB double of uprights is going to go.
I think that's possibly the part of the course that we're seeing being most influential so far. The turn back to the double, just really quite tight inside that decorative element. But 1 fence down to add to a great time. It would have been our second fastest time if she hadn't had that rail down. But 71.36 puts Zayna Rizvi into 6th place as it stands. And in terms of the team competition, that's a really good performance for the team, 71.36, adding to sheer Levitin's score of 73.99. Those aren't going to be the scores that they carry forward, though. Those will be converted into the points we mentioned earlier. Next, this combination is Cassie Gorsline, who rides Viva la Vida for Canada. This is a horse by Verdi as well. A couple of horses by Verdi in this field today. Was on the young rider team last year for the bronze medal with Lux La Loire for Canada. Also had a team 7th in 2017. That was with the horse Siempre Salsa. They very rarely drop more than 1 pole, so this is a little bit out of character for them.
Yeah, this is an experienced pair, especially in championship format. Cassie dating all the way back to 2017 appearances here at NAYC. But not everyone can perform perfectly every day, so quite a bit of pressure on these young athletes. It's still going to be a good round overall.
And the nature of equestrian sport, of course. They are not machines, and they perform how they are able to on the day. So with those fences down, Cassie Gorsline gets a total score of 94.47. The time was 78.47, but with the penalties added for the poles down, 94.47 is the total. Well, we're approaching the halfway point in this competition. As I say, we have 34 combinations to bring you. And the next of those will be representing Zone 1. Eva Fisherman here rides Casalvano, 13-year-old gelding by Casal, horse that Eva owns herself. She was in the junior individual final last year, riding Contara 15, was 17th individually and on the 11th place team. This horse is really interesting though. This is a former 5-star Grand Prix ride of Daniel Deusser, and is one with whom he won the VDL Group Prize at the Dutch Masters in 2021. Was also 5th in the 5-star Grand Prix of Saint-Tropez in 2021 at the Longines Global Champions Tour show there. Eva rode it to a 6th place in the, I'm going to say, at a 2-star Grand Prix here in Traverse City, but not quite their day here today.
Not quite. I mean, this was a fabulous ride for Daniel Deusser. So many great rounds put in on this horse, and already a great season here in Traverse City, jumping into the ribbons in 2-star competition. Not quite going to be their day here today, but can still turn things around. Perhaps not going to be among the fastest in this class, but can really end on a high note, set yourself up for positive experience in the team competition.
Yeah, and it's really the team competition is another goal of these riders. You know, the team competition is so important to them. So fantastic for them to be able to represent their areas, their zones. Zone 1 strong team. Leila Kurbanov, the first rider out for them. They do have the 4 competitors though, so depending on Eva's score, this could well be a drop score. She still has chance to shine in the 2-round competition to come.
You can tell she's looking to improve that score, still taking inside tracks around this course, thinking about that speed and where she can make it up.
Sadly, the last pole rolls as well for Eva Fisherman, so with a time of 78.51, it's a total of 82.51 for her with Cassalvano. We move on now from Zone 1 to Zone 7 and to Sophia Cady. Sophia rides the horse Delin, who is an 11-year-old mare by Larimar 7, owned by Sarah and Sophia Cady. This is a former ride of Kevin Mealiff of Ireland, who rode it until earlier this year. Also formerly ridden by Jennifer Waxman and by Shane Sweetnam right the way up to 5-star level. So that's what we were talking about earlier. There's a fantastically strong lineup of horses in this field, some incredible former 5-star rides, and it's fantastic to see them partnered by these talented young athletes at these youth championships. Sophia Cady, another rider also on the Rolex USEF show jumping ranking list in the top 300. She was also selected for the 2022 Horse Mastership Training Series, and she hails from Austin, Texas.
Yeah, that Horse Mastership Clinic, just such a great experience for young riders, educational experience where they learn from some of the top athletes in our sport. Past clinicians have included Ann Krasinski, McLean Ward, Laura Kraut, just to name a few. And just one of very many, unfortunately, just a little trouble there at that double combination. There's so many great educational programs that a lot of these riders have participated in, not just competition programs, but ones where you can really go and learn from experts, learn all aspects of horsemanship, not just the riding, but the stable management and sportsmanship and other really important pieces of the whole puzzle of being, you know, a top competitor at this level. So great to see that she has taken advantage of that.
There's certainly a lot to like about this round. She's really piloting this horse very, very well. Really unlucky pole. 82.37 is going to give them a total score of 86.37. Sophia Cady and Delin going into 15th place individually, but contributing to the score for the Zone 7 team, or the team for Zones 5 and 7. I should say, those zones combining on a team here. Sarah Tyndale next up for Canada with Elko van Hoftenelen. A 12-year-old gelding by Elvis Terpute out of a Toulon mare owned by Tyndale Farms. Sarah was on the bronze medal winning young rider team in 2021 last year with this horse. But that's not her only success in these North American Youth Championships. She was also on the 5th place junior team in 2019.
Yeah, really successful young rider for Canada, junior jumper champion at the Royal Winter Fair. That was back in 2017. Also, top placings in both Canadian and American National Grand Prix just this past summer in 2021. 4th in the U25 Hermes final in Wellington this season. So very successful, also very talented horse. This partnership coming together quite nicely, proving their capability over this course. Bit of a taller build on this horse. So I think really focusing on those clean, direct lines, not so much on the natural foot speed that some of the other competitors might have. Looks like a very tall horse.
Yeah, good ground covering stride.
Can really help you in rings like this sometimes.
Really nicely done. No fences dropped for Sarah Tyndale. It's a time of 75.14. She stays in the top 10. She's in the 9th place spot at the moment. Just pips her compatriot Eric Krawitt into 10th place at the moment. She's the top placed rider for Canada as it stands. Dominic Gibbs brings forward the horse Amazing. Another great named horse. He represents Zone 8. And he again is another rider who's competed at these championships in the past. Jumped on the junior teams in 2021. Not on the podium, on the 9th place team. But this horse has been going from strength to strength with Dominic. He's had it since 2021. And they've had quite a lot of success in the under 25 and 2-star level, just as a starter.
Dominic, just such a well-rounded horseman, so incredible in both the jumper and equitation rings, really stepping up into these higher levels of the sport. Unfortunately pulls the back rail of fence 3 there, but already such a champion, winner of Maclay finals, winner of the World Equestrian Center Equitation Cup, also winner of Washington Equitation Finals, so really knows how to perform well under pressure.
Nice turn back to fence 6. Didn't waste any time there at all.
Student at the University of Miami, several college students here in this class. Always great to see when these young riders are dedicating themselves not only to the sport of show jumping but also to higher education. So conveniently located near the Winter Equestrian Festival, he can stay in school while also continuing to ride, work his way up to becoming a professional rider one day.
Great to the last, and the time stops in 71 seconds exactly. He adds the 4 though before that pole rolled, so it's 75 for Dominic Gibbs. Now he takes the 9th spot and just pushes Sarah Tyndale into 10th. Out in front in terms of the individual placings is Alexandra Pielet still, who of course was our first competitor out earlier this afternoon with Hyperbolics. They are the fastest pair in 65.95 seconds. Nearly 3 seconds faster than Hunter Champey, who takes the 2nd spot. Nicole Velasco-Magana takes 3rd spot at the minute. Back to zone 2 now though, and to Mia Bagnato with Dundalk. This is a 17-year-old horse, another of the slightly older horses in our field. Dundalk is by Douglas, owned by Ellen Farm.
Rider that trains with Stella Manship and Jordan Coyle, of course member of that Major League Show Jumping Tour and twice winner of 5-star action. But Mia already so much success with this horse, moving up to the high junior jumpers in the middle of the WEF season this year.
Yeah, very impressive to now be jumping on the young rider team with this horse who, as you say, she trains with Stella Manship and Jordan Coyle. This is a former ride of both of those competitors as well, right the way up to 5-star. Had wins with Jordan in 5-star speed classes.
So much you can learn from an older horse. In fact, that's something that competitor in this class, Sam Walker, has said before, that you shouldn't be afraid to take on an older horse because they have so much wisdom to share with you. They've experienced so much, especially for a young rider to get to develop with a slightly older horse, more seasoned horse. There's a lot you can learn. It might not have as many years ahead as some that might be younger, but those years might provide more, the short years might provide a little more value to you, that you can learn so much from them.
Yeah, for sure. And as you say, it's all about learning and getting the experience at this stage of their careers, making sure that they're really confident and solidified in their riding, going up the levels, because from young riders it's on to senior teams, hopefully, where there's quite a bit, you know, even more competition. There's a lot of competition to get onto these young rider teams, but even more so at the senior level. Alexa Leong is the next rider in. She represents Zone 10 and rides Carlson, who is an 11-year-old by Chaco Chaco. She jumped a double clear in the Junior Nations Cup competition in Vancouver with this horse, And while this horse is only an 11-year-old, again, it's one who's had some really valuable experience already with Yuri Mansour as a young horse. And then the Mexican rider Manuel Alvarez Ruiz Galindo. Alexa taking on the ride more recently.
If her success in the NAYC trials this year are any indication of success this week, I think Alexa's in for a good week. She's the leading young rider for Zone 10 NAYC jumper trials this year. Really great ride for her. She's also a top hunter rider. She came in on a bit of a catch ride for Junior Hunter National Championships earlier this summer and ended up grand overall 3-3 champion. It's a very versatile rider, but this horse, of course, she knows very well. She's accomplished quite a bit with this horse already.
Beautifully to the last as well. It's a good time. It's not our fastest, but it's certainly not the slowest either. 73.87 puts Alexa, Leong and Carlson into 8th place. No penalties to add, or no seconds to add rather, to their time. So 73.87 is the final score. Puts them into 8th, as I say. In terms of the individual placings, for Zone 10, it's a strong performance as well. 3 riders completed for them now. The slowest of those so far is Kate Hovland, and they have Zoe Brown yet to come. Sophia Ahearn is representing Zone 4, but she rides here as an individual. She's our next rider in with Quick Bob, a 10-year-old, so one of the younger horses in the field. Have some 9-year-olds. Those are the youngest. Jumped in the 2-star Grand Prix here last week with Langobardo BF. Another really talented rider who's doing increasingly well on the international stage.
Yeah, really up-and-coming young rider. Of course, successful with Michael Murphy in the irons, part of the team at Esperanza Imports. That team put together by Elon Furter. Lots of top mounts, top riders really bringing in those top results, especially here in this Great Lakes Equestrian Festival. We still have yet to see a change at the top. Alexandra Pielet still holds that very quick round, 65.95 the time there. She's first in the ring and has yet to be beaten.
Yeah, amazing to hold on to that lead for such a very long time. Often we say that it's of benefit to be drawn later in the competition so that you can see how the other riders have performed. You can see where they've taken the inside turns, but not something Alexandra Pielet needed today.
No, and some riders don't need that, in fact. Some kind of like going in first. They can execute the exact plan that they made and not be worried about questioning their decisions later on. Once they see what other riders do, they might start to change their plan, which could end up impacting them negatively.
Yeah, sticking to the plan is always, I think, what a lot of these riders aim to do. Sophia Ahearn there, then her final score 72.64. So a team rider for Zone 4 up next. It's Ellie Yeager with her own Iceman de Muse, a 14-year-old stallion by Urko van der Rusacker, out of a 4-pleasure mare. She rode in the 2018 Junior North American Youth Championships in New York with the horse Waliba VDL. But again, this is another very, very good ride for Ellie. Another rider who's lucky to have a couple of horses at a really good level. This one is one that she's jumped a couple of 2-star Grand Prix with already, and some under 25 international Grand Prix as well. Shows you just how talented she is to get onto the lists of these international level competitions.
Yeah, such an impressive junior career for Ellie. She's just a few years out of her junior career, she topped so many equitation championships, including the Washington International Horse Show equitation, the USEF Platinum Performance Talent Search Finals, also the RW Much Equitation Championship, and the Dudley B. Smith Equitation Championship right here in Traverse City. So taking her talents into the show jumping ring and really not missing a beat. It's been very successful.
Yeah, great round for her here with Iceman Demuse. 71.62 seconds. She goes into 7th place. And again, we have to just look at where that sits for the team. So 71.62 is not much slower than Zayna Rizvi, who was 71.36. Those two on a team together with Sheer Levitin as well. Zone 4 looking very, very strong in terms of the team standings as well. An individual rider up next, it's Martina Franco Stephan for Mexico with Deuce Emerald d'Or, a 9-year-old, one of the younger horses, as we were saying, in the field. And Martina is a rider who, again, is no stranger to these North American Youth Championships. She's competed at them in 2017 for Team 6. That was with the horse Puertas So What in Saugerties. In 2018 for silver medal with the team and individual 5th with that very same horse in North Salem. And in 2018, gold medal for the team and individual 9th. That was with Vivaldi Hill again in North Salem. Quite a heavy fault there earlier on in this course, but she's got a bit of a foot to the floor now. She knows the format. She knows that really going quickly could make up for that.
Exactly, and this horse is definitely no stranger to going quickly. A lot of blood on this horse. Really quick, very scopy, has already jumped into the ribbons in FEI competition here in Traverse City this summer. Martina herself already several times a Mexican national champion in different categories, so top young rider for this Mexican contingent. Like I said earlier, lots of young talent coming up through the national system for Mexico.
Well, a great, great time. It was 69.59. She would have been in 4th place, but as it happens, the one fence down gives Martina Franco Stephan 73.59. She's still in the top 10, but will she hang on to that spot? She's really just looking for a good result to get her through the in terms of an individual competition. Riley Poole-Kohli comes in now in these sunglasses. It's quite a sunny afternoon, not a cloud in the sky in Traverse City, and there's plenty of spectators up on the hill watching in this arena, enjoying the sunshine and enjoying this top show jumping action. Riley riding for Canada with Claire Chen. This horse is a 12-year-old by Colestus, a Westphalian horse, and they've had some very good performances at Caledon quite recently.
Yeah, lots of top placings for this rider. Unfortunately, a bit of trouble there to the first fence. She's attended some big events both in her home nation of Canada, including the Royal Agricultural Winter Fair, and also in the United States, including Pony Finals, which is taking place in Lexington, Kentucky, not too far away from here. Probably several riders in that prestigious event that we'll see in the likes of the North American Youth Championships one day. I know the lower levels, including the children's and pre-juniors, have many fairly recent former pony riders. Another glimpse at the future of our sport.
Riley, of course, a team rider here on the 2nd Canadian team. So she's having a few issues here. Oh, what a shame. I was just about to say she's doing really well to keep it going with the team competition in mind, but sadly that second refusal is going to incur elimination for Riley Poole-Kohli. That Canadian team, though, do have 3 riders left, so they still can compete. They still can go forward to the next round, as they will still hopefully have the 3 counting scores, but Riley Poole-Kohli's will not be one of them. sadly eliminated.
Yeah, one tricky thing about these classes extending so late into the afternoon is the shadows do get a little bit stronger this time of day. We have beautiful sunny weather here, but these horses aren't quite used to jumping at this hour here. Days are getting a little bit longer with the amount of horses we have for these North American Youth Championships.
Yeah, the light changes in this arena quite a lot over the course of the day, and actually where we, it's sort of to the right-hand side as we're looking at your screens now of the arena near to the VIP tent. The double of fences at 11 had quite a change of light even in the morning as well. Half of that double was in the shade and half in the light earlier on today, so it can change all the way throughout the day, but as you say, certainly in this late afternoon sunshine the shadows start to lengthen. Emma Seving then is now in the ring for Zone 1 with Brighton Bay, a 12-year-old gelding by Ultimo. Zone 1 bringing forward a strong team. Emma is their penultimate rider. She's had 3 top 10 finishes in with Wellington with this horse in international competitions this year alone. And in terms of her international performances this year, she's jumped 6 clears out of 11 rounds, which is a pretty great record, really.
That's pretty impressive. Also coming off a team gold medal finish at Prix de States in 2020. She also finished 3rd individually there, so secured that bronze medal individual competition. That was all aboard Brighton Bay. Very impressive young rider. Also top finishes in NAL jumpers. Just gonna dodge that double of uprights there, but circles right back to it quickly.
Didn't look very much like a, you know, the horse didn't sort of shoot away from the fence too quickly. It almost looked like Emma opted to circle, but she was very, very close indeed. But in any case, adds the time, and 85.73 is going to be her final score here. 22nd place for her. But we're heading now into the final 10 competitors, heading right down to the bottom end of our list. Getting through these competitors really quite quickly. Their next day of competition will be tomorrow. They'll be competing from noon in the Young Rider team competition. Charlize Casas comes next for Zone 5. Well, on the team that incorporates Zones 5 and 7 with Mustique, VZ. Great breeding on this 10-year-old mare as well, Numero Uno and Diamant de Semi. And certainly a pair that you would have your eye on. They again have competed in these North American Youth Championships twice in the past, once in 2017, once in 2018, both on the junior teams for a team gold medal in 2018. That was with the horse Rembrandt Blue. But this, again, is one that's been going from strength to strength with Charlize, jumping well in the US and in Canada.
So many National Grand Prix wins under this pair's belt. This rider has topped a $50,000 World Equestrian Center Grand Prix, also a National Grand Prix here in Traverse City, as well as first in a 2-star Welcome Stake and 3rd in a 2-star Grand Prix. Have also won a U25 class at the Kentucky Spring Horse Show, so very competitive in all company, just really showing her dominance over this level of show jumping.
Yeah, and such a good performance there. She takes 3rd spot individually in a time of 68.28. But for Zone 5, that team for Zones 5 and 7, that's a really great performance as well. Alexandra Pielet, who's our current leader, is also on that team. So I think they may well be the team to beat in this round of competition. Sophia Cady, the drop score for them now with that 86.37 score. Well, a rider who you will, I'm sure, recognise from the recent weeks of 5-star action is Sam Walker. Sam rides for the Canadian team The horse he rides here this afternoon is Evita, the 13-year-old mare by Canturano, owned by Marble Hill Farm. Sam is 20 years old. He's 231st in the Longines World Rankings. Also competed at the 2018 and 2019 Pan American Games. He's a bronze medal winner and from 2018 and Team Gold and individual silver medal winner from the 2019 North American Youth Championships with Coralissa. But Evita has been a great ride for him. He's won a 5-star class in Calgary and 2 5-star classes at the San Miguel de Allende Major League Show Jumping Show as well. This horse was previously ridden by Steve Gerdat as well, to a 2nd place in the Falsterbo Derby. This is a really exciting pair.
Exciting indeed, and very exciting time here. Might just take over that lead. I think he's going to.
Yeah, in fact he does. What a performance. Quite a lot of cheers going up from the crowd. Great support for Sam Walker. 65.61 with Evita. He's got his eye on a medal here.
I think he does. I don't know that I would want to be in the position of these other riders that are going up for gold against Sam Walker. Definitely a force to be reckoned with. Incredible year this year, jumping clear in that 5-star Grand Prix just roughly 1 week ago, but continuing upon that success here this week in the North American Youth Championships. It's an incredible performance there by Canada's Sam Walker.
Takes the individual lead and, of course, puts the Canadian team in a strong position as well. Virginia Bonney comes next for Zone 3 with Nina Bonney's F for Deer, this 13-year-old by Kashmir Van Schutershoff. Again, another rider who has competed at several previous runnings of the North American Youth Championships and a multiple medal winner.
Really quite a preview of what's to come for these riders. It's so impressive not only that they've made it here, but to make it here multiple times and to perform so well year after year. You know, she's probably seeking to improve upon her last performance, which was already a pretty good one. So individual 4th placing in her appearance in 2017. Also incredible placings through the U25 divisions. Also competed in the 2020 Palm Beach Masters FEI Youth Nations Cup on the junior team on that occasion.
Virginia really pretty unique or pretty impressive in the fact that she's competed at these championships on a children's, a junior, and now a young rider team as well.
Just really moving up through the levels. I think that's part of the reason why they break this competition down into the various levels. It really allows for development. These riders have something to work towards no matter the fence height that they're jumping in a given year. So the riders that we're seeing in the children's division now may very well be the ones, you know, in several years' time that are competing for the young rider medals. I think that's part of what they've designed in that system.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see the progression of these athletes over the years. Virginia Bonney has the fence down, but despite that still gets into the top 10. The time was very good. The time was 67.48. It would have had her in 3rd spot, but she takes 9th with F for Deer. Swiftly moving on though to Audrey Schulze. She rides the Riverbrook Sport horses Lord Up. It's an 11-year-old gelding by Laudanos. And again, Audrey was here in 2021 riding in the junior category for Team 5th. She's had this horse for a little while, but has had some really good successes. Ridden it to 4-star level earlier on, also a 2-star level in 2021. Ridden as a young horse by Spencer Smith.
Spencer setting this horse up very well for a great career with Audrey. Audrey truly being on fire in this Great Lakes Equestrian Festival. Won a national Grand Prix aboard her new mount Darkido just a few short weeks ago with Lord Up. In Kentucky, she secured 3 2-star wins that Split Rock Jumping Tour. So locked and loaded with several top mounts. Not quite her day today here, but definitely a very impressive rider with several impressive mounts coming up.
Definitely. It's a good example there of a rider going for the time. She finished in 66.13 seconds, but with those fences down, she goes to 74.13 and into 16th place. Just 4 riders left to come then. The next of those will be representing Zone 10. It's the turn of Zoe Brown with Chase. As I say, she's on the team with Zone 10 alongside Elena Haas, Kate Hovland and Alexa Leong. She's the final rider for that team. They've got some pretty good scores in there already, but of course it's a competition where we're looking at the individual performances as well. Chase is a 15-year-old by Coleman and is one ridden by Harley Brown prior to Zoe taking over the reins.
So we had a very impressive Grand Prix win in the desert under the lights this past winter. Beat out some top riders, including Olympian Cassio Rivetti. Sped to the win there, and actually fellow NAYC competitor Elisa Brose took second on that occasion. But Zoe also winner of the 2021 Talent Search Finals West. Also committed to ride for the UC Davis equestrian team.
So of course, now that we just have a few riders left to go, we are coming to the final riders for the teams. Those teams who have already completed are the team for zones 3, 8 and 9. Zone 2, the Canada first team, and zones 5 and 7. It's a good performance though from Zoe Brown and Chase. 76.75 is their score. It's 21st individually, but that's a score that will count for the team. The drop score will be Kate Hovland's 77.5. Well, another rider who was competing here in Traverse City in the 5-star competitions just last week is Tana Karotkin. Tana is from Zone 4, and we know that Zone 4 are extremely strong, especially in the young rider category. He rides Ideal, a 10-year-old by Cardento, owned by Castlewood Farm and Sandalwood Farms. He won a 5-star class here last week with Quinn 33. This though is a former ride of Shane Sweetnam, but Tana's had 14 top 10 international finishes with this horse, including a win in an under 25 class in Wellington. He was also 5th in a 2-star Grand Prix here last month with this very horse. So plenty of successes already on their CV, and he's going really well here. You could well say that there's a bit of rivalry perhaps between Tana and Sam, but as they are such good friends, I'm sure they'll be cheering each other on as well.
I'm sure if one of them edges the other into second, it will still be friendly camaraderie. Such successful results for Tanner in this Great Lakes Equestrian Festival. Rode to a 5-star win just last week. Also several top 3 placings up to the 3-star level on this horse particularly.
Oh, what a round. 65.32. Indeed, he does pip Sam Walker into second place. Just by about 3/10 of a about 3/10 of a second. Tana Karotkin taking the lead in the individual stakes. But it's a great, great performance for Zone 4. The scores of Zayna Rizvi and Ellie Yeager will also count for that team. Sheer Levitin's score will be the drop one, but it was only 73.99, so you might well say that Zone 4 are also looking like one of the very, very strongest teams here.
Just when you think the pace can't get any quicker, Tana Karotkin seems to find some room. It was a very impressive display of speed there that we just saw.
I mean, as you say, his win last week was also very, very speedy, so it's a format that suits him. Our penultimate competitor this afternoon then is Halle Duke for Canada, the second team for Canada. Riding Ilana, one of the younger horses in the field again. This is a 9-year-old mare who is by KVF Tacord out of a contender mare. They've jumped some international classes at Vancouver at Thunderbird Show Park in 2021. 4 top 10 placings out of 6 competitions jumped. They were also the national under-25 champions at the Canadian Championships at the Royal West Show. They jumped 4 clears there, not touching a single rail in that whole competition. Sets them up well, having jumped in a competition like that for a championships like the North American Youth Championships.
Precisely. If she can jump 4 clear rounds on this occasion, she might just be in contention for a medal. Once the fences get this big, there are more faults on course, so you're much better set up if you can jump clear.
Great round again, goes into 4th place, 66.4, so it's not far behind at all. The time, it's in fact just over a second slower than Tana Korotkin, so once these scores are calculated and converted into points, I should think we won't see too much of a differential score between these top few riders. The top 4 particularly are quite tightly packed. A little bit of a gap between Halle Duke and Hunter Champey, who is in 5th, but the top 4 tightly packed and very, very quick indeed. Our final competitor represents Zone 1. This is Skylar Fields riding Cornetta, a 10-year-old mare by Balou du Reventon. And yes, as I say, Skylar for Zone 1. On the 5th placed young rider team at last year's running of this competition. She's been jumping 2 stars and young rider classes in Wellington and here in Traverse City. This horse was ridden by another 5-star rider, Bronislav Chudiba, until 2020.
Skylar also jumping to impressive results in FEI competition here in Traverse City. Also took champion in Zone 5 regionals in 2020 and Prix de States team gold in 2020. So on to great success in U25 competition with this horse.
Horse has certainly got the power and got the potential to go very, very quickly here. Yeah, the turn was perhaps a little on the right-hand side. I think she was just trying to give it a little bit more space. Good to the last though, and this clock is stopped in 73.06 seconds. Adding the 4 for the fence though, it's 77.06 for Skylar Fields. Concluding our competition here. This young rider first competition, the speed competition. Well, it's been quite the afternoon of sport. The young riders concluding things for the North American Youth Championships. We have an international class coming later on today. It's going to be the FEI welcome class, kicking off fairly shortly. But a great performance and a great first place in this young rider first competition for Tana Korotkin and Ideal. 65.32 their score. Just behind them is Canada's Sam Walker with Evita, 65.61. Alexandra Pielet, our first rider out, takes 3rd spot here with Hyperbolics, 65.95 the time. Halle Duke takes 4th with 66.4, and Hunter Champey rounds out the top 5 in 68.17 seconds. In terms of the team competition, these times will be converted into the necessary scores and the points will be allocated out down the rankings to give an overall team total, which will be added to their scores from the team competition. That young rider team competition takes place tomorrow at 12 noon local time. And it's the pinnacle of the young rider team competition. The young rider individuals will be going on Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. local time. We'll be streaming all of that action live on the USEF network for you. Also have some exciting dressage action still to come this week as well. Junior individual test tomorrow morning and the young rider individual test on Saturday, followed by the junior and young rider freestyles on Sunday. But yes, plenty of show jumping action still to come. You certainly won't want to miss a moment. The riders will just be heading into the arena now for the prize giving ceremony, a short prize giving, and a quick lap of honour for them before this Turtle Creek Casino and Hotel International ring is prepared for the FEI welcome class.
I mean, just a true masterclass out there. Tanner Karotkin really laying it down, just a hair in front of Sam Walker. So two incredible young talents taking the top 2 spots. We also saw the very first in the ring take a top finish in Alexandra Pielet. So congratulations to all 3 of them. We will be back first thing in the morning on USDF Network to talk through this team competition for the junior and young rider divisions. So join us back then.